Hello, hello everyone. In the previous class, we have discussed about the hierarchical modeling concepts, and we have seen an example 4-bit ripple carry counter. So in this today's class, we are going to discuss modules and instances. So we now are going to relate these hierarchical modeling concepts to the Verilog. So Verilog is a hardware description language that is going to provide the concept of a module. Here module is a keyword. This module is the basic building block in Verilog. So a module can be either it can be an element or it can be a collection of lower level design blocks. So remember here a module is a keyword and it can be an element or it can be a collection of a lower level design blocks. Typically, elements are grouped into modules to provide some common functionality that is going to be used at many places in the design. So, a module provides the necessary functionality to the higher level block through its port interface like input and output port interface, but it is going to hide the internal implementation. So this is going to allow the designer to modify the module internals without affecting the rest of the design. So in the previous example we have seen the ripple carry counter using T flip flop and D flip flop. So this T flip flop, D flip flop can be an example of this module. So see the syntax of the module. So it appears on the slide. Syntax, the module, module. So module is a keyword. Module name can be any name that is given by the user. So it is nothing but it is an identifier. So there are some rules for naming the identifiers that we will discuss in the later classes. So but remember here module name is a name given by the user, that is it is a user defined name and it can be an identifier, followed by module terminal list. So the module terminal list, it is going to describe the input and output terminals of this module. So whichever module that you are going to design, so what are the inputs in that module and what are the outputs in that module that are going to be defined or listed in the module terminal list, followed by a semicolon. Then the module internals. These module internals can be designed using various different type of abstraction levels like behavioral, structural, data flow or switch level or mix of all these abstraction levels. So the module internals is nothing but it's a logic. So whichever application that you are doing, so that is nothing but a module internals. Finally, the end module is a again keyword. A corresponding keyword end module must appear at the end of the module definition. Remember here. So the module is a keyword and end module is a keyword, and observe that there is no space between end and module. It is written continuously in a small case letters END end module. So this is a keyword of the module and end module are the keywords. So remaining things, so that module name is a identifier, that is user defined name. Suppose for if you want to design a D flip flop, then your module name can be DFF. So that is an identifier. So in DFF, what are the inputs and outputs that are required? So those inputs and outputs are written in the module terminal list within a bracket. For example, D flip flop consists of D input, clock input, Q output, Q bar output, and reset input. So all these can be listed in a module terminal list. Then that module statement is ended with a semicolon. Then it's truth, as per the truth table, as per the D flip flop works, its internals are going to be designed using any of the abstraction level. So that abstraction levels will be discussed in detail in the further chapters. Then finally the end module keyword. So this is an example of the T flip flop, how T flip flop is defined as a module. So this is an example. So module, T flip flop, module is a keyword, T flip flop is a identifier. So T flip flop or anything related to that one you can write here, it is user defined. Then the terminal list, module terminal list, that is Q is the output, clock is input, reset is input. So that is listed. Then the functionality of T flip flop is written within a module. Then finally the keyword end module. So Verilog is both behavioral or structural language. So the internal of that particular module can be defined, as I told you earlier, with the help of 4 different type of level of abstractions. So depending on the need of the design. So the module behaves identically with the internal environment irrespective of the level of abstraction at which the module is described. So the internals of this module are going to be hidden from the environment. So that are not going to be disclosed, that can be hidden here. That's why the level of abstraction to describe a module can be changed without any change in the environment. You need not to change the any environment here, and you can change the internal of the modules without changing the environment of the module. So this is going to be so these levels will be, we are going to discuss it in the next further chapters in detail. So those are going to be behavioral, structural, and data flow modelings, about all that. Here we are going to discuss briefly about the different type of modelings. The first one is the behavioral or algorithm level. So remember this, very important. This is the highest level of abstraction provided by Verilog in HDL. So behavioral modeling is the highest level of abstraction that is provided by Verilog HDL, a common Viva question disease. A module can be implemented in terms of the desired design algorithm without concern for the hardware implementation details. So here, without the need of hardware implementation details here, how it is going to be implemented using hardware, those information is not at all required here. A module can be implemented without the details of the hardware implementation. So it is only you require a algorithm here, the whatever the desired algorithm for that particular application or that particular design, that is required here, and there is no requirement of the hardware implementation details. So designers at this level is very similar to the C programming language. So this is a behavioral or algorithmic level. So in the behavioral modeling is the highest level of abstraction in which a designer need not to have a hardware implementation details. They only require a desired algorithm. That means, suppose if you want to design a simple gate. So in a gate, you have a truth table. So that truth table information is required here. no hardware details of that particular gate is required. If you consider any other example, take a multiplexer, 2 is to 1 multiplexer. So in which again there is a truth table. So the truth table information is converted into behavioral modeling program, whereas there is no requirement of the circuit diagram, how the circuit is going to be connected from input to the output. So that information is not required here. Second one is the data flow modeling. So at this level, the module is designed by specifying the data flow. So here in the data flow modeling, the module, the internals of the module, whatever the internals that we have seen in the keyword, so the internals of that module is designed by specifying the data flow, as the name suggests, data flow, how the data is going to flow between the hardware registers is going to be defined here. So the designer is aware of how the data flows between the hardware registers and how the data is processed in the design. So that information is required. For example, the Boolean expressions. So in digital circuits, we have a Boolean expressions. For example, sum equation in the full adder. Sum equation for the full adder is A XOR B XOR C. So such kind of information is required, in which we know that how the data flows between the registers. So if you know that detail, so data flow level or data flow modeling can be implemented very easily. Next one is the gate level. So gate level is implemented in terms of logic gates and the interconnection between these gates. So read the sentence carefully here. The module is implemented in terms of logic gates and interconnection between these gates. That means you require a digital circuit diagram here to implement a gate level or gate level of abstraction. That means if you want to design any combinational circuit or any sequential circuit, it consists of a logic diagram or schematic circuit diagram. So that circuit diagram is converted into a program here. So in the gate level modeling, the logic gates and its interconnections are defined. So design at this level is similar to describing a design in terms of gate level logic diagram. So suppose if you want to design a full adder consists of a circuit diagram, a carry input. There are three inputs, A, B, C, and there are two outputs, C out and sum. And when you draw the full adder diagram using the XOR gates, and you can design the carry output as per the Boolean expression, then whatever the circuit diagram that appears, so whichever gates that are used, all, and how the interconnection between one gate to another gate, everything is in detail you have to mention in the design. So lot of information is required in the gate level abstraction. And the last one is the switch level. So this is the lowest level of abstraction provided by Verilog. So here behavioral level is the highest level of abstraction, whereas switch level is the lowest level of abstraction provided by the Verilog. Why this is lowest level? Because each and every detail is required to design a program using switch level. So switch level programming is not for the syllabus. Other three are for your syllabus. That is behavioral, data flow, and gate level modelings we are going to discuss. Whereas switch level, this is not for your syllabus. So a module can be implemented in terms of switches, storage nodes, and the interconnection between them. So similar to the previous one, gate level, in which the gates were gates and its interconnection between them was defined. But here switches are nothing but the transistor, how each gate is made up of transistor. So that switches, storage nodes, and the interconnection between the different switches. So this is going to be implemented here. So design at this level requires knowledge of switch level implementation details. So each and every detail of that particular gate and circuit is required in a switch level abstraction. So the one more advantage of the Verilog is designer can mix and match all these four levels of abstraction in the design. Remember here, it is not mandatory that you have to use only one kind of abstraction level in your design. You can mix and match all these four levels of abstraction, that is behavioral, data flow, gate level and switch level. All can be mixed in your design. So in the digital design community, the term register transfer level, that is RTL, is going to be frequently used. So you have come across already the register transfer level frequently. So it is frequently used for a Verilog description that uses the combination of behavioral and data flow constructs and is acceptable for logic synthesis tool. So if a design contains 4 different modules, Verilog allows each of a module to be written at a different level of abstraction. So as the design matures, most modules are replaced with gate level implementation. So this is normally the higher the level of abstraction, a more flexible and technology independent the design. So as one goes lower towards the switch level design, that is the last level or lowest level of design, the design becomes technology dependent and it is inflexible. Remember here, as you go on go towards the lower level of the abstraction, it is going to be technology dependent and it is very inflexible. Even a small modification can cause a significant number of changes in the design at the lower level of abstraction, but it is not with the higher level of abstraction. Next is instances. A module provides a template from which you can create actual objects. So instances are part of the internals of the program. So a module provides a template from which you can create actual objects. So when a module is invoked, when you design any module, a Verilog creates a unique objects from these templates. So each object has its own name, variable, parameters and input output interface. So all these objects are very unique. So the process of creating objects from a module template is called instantiation. Remember here, you have objects in your module. So the process of creating these objects, from a module template is called instantiation. This term instantiation is used severally or frequently, and the objects are called as instances. So here, don't worry about the program here, just try to understand the object. So the comment lines, first 3 lines are the comment lines, that is preceded with that double backslash. Define the top level module called ripple carry counter. So we have in the previous class we have discussed the ripple carry counter. So in that it is a 4-bit ripple carry counter. So it instantiates 4 different T flip flops. For 4-bit ripple carry counter we have 4 T flip flops. So interconnections are shown in the figure. Earlier we have seen the interconnection. So 4-bit ripple carry counter module we have seen earlier. So see how it can be written in terms of module instantiation. Module is a keyword, MODULE. Ripple underscore carry underscore counter. So this is the name of the module, ripple carry counter. In short, you can also write any other name. This is a module name. This is an identifier. You can write just RCC, that is ripple carry counter. Then the list of terminals, that is Q, clock and reset. So these are the terminals that appear in a ripple carry counter followed by a semicolon. Now out of this Q, clock, reset, which is input and which is output, that has to be defined. So output is a keyword here, output. Then it is a vector 3 down to 0. Why it is vector? Because you can observe the previous class, you have a block diagram of a ripple carry counter in which you have 4 flip-flops, 4 T flip-flops. Each T flip-flop consists of 4 different outputs, Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3. So that can be separately defined like Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3, or else you can define it with in this fashion as a vector 3 down to 0 Q. That means Q is a 4-bit here. The values of Q are Q0, Q1, Q2 and Q3. So the input output signals and vector declarations will be explained later actually. Then in the terminal list, other than Q is clock and reset. So clock is single, is one bit. Then reset is also 1 bit. That's why input is a keyword and clock and reset are the inputs. So IO signals, again we are going to discuss it in the later classes. Now as in our block diagram of a ripple carry counter, we have 4 different T flip-flops, and with the name of those blocks in the diagram are TFF0, TFF1, TFF2 and TFF3. So these are the 4 different flip-flops. You can observe the block diagram of the ripple carry counter from the previous class. You have 4 different blocks, TFF0, TFF1, TFF2 and TFF3. Now these 4 instances of the module T flip-flops are created. Each has a unique name. Remember here, no name has to be repeated here. All the instance names must be different. They must be unique. Each instance is passed a set of signals. Notice that each instance is a copy of the module T flip-flop. Remember here, the T flip-flop followed by TFF0. TFF0 is the name of the instance. You can observe the TFF0 from the block diagram, what are all the connections for that particular block. It consists of a output Q of 0, then clock input, then reset input. You will find this one in the block diagram. Observe the block diagram, then define the instances of the TFF0. So it consists of 3 inputs, 3 terminals, 1 output and 2 inputs. Q0 is a output, clock and resets are the input. Then followed by semicolon. Then go for the next block, that is TFF1. That is T flip-flop again, but its instances are different here. Its output is Q1, its clock input is Q0. That is from the previous, as it is a ripple carry counter, from the previous output a clock pulse is connected and common reset input is connected. That's why Q of 1 is the output, Q of 0 is the clock input and reset input. So like this, all the 4 instances TFF0, TFF1, TFF2 and TFF3 are instantiated. So this part is called as instantiation. TFF0 to TFF3 is called as instantiation. Now the definition of internals of this ripple carry counter we have defined. Then last keyword is end module, end of the module here. So without any space, write the end module keyword. This program is not yet completed. So we have defined the T flip-flop and the instances the D flip-flop. We assumed the that module D flip-flop is defined elsewhere in the design. So again you have to refer the complete diagram of that particular ripple carry counter. So we have assumed that T flip-flop is designed, but how the T flip-flop is designed? T flip-flop is designed using the D flip-flop and the inverter. So that also we are going to be include as the part of the program. Now we should not add this part of the program within the same module. One module cannot be nested here. That's why the previous module, when you start writing internals, first you end that module, then again start the new module for different block. So we are writing this module for the one T flip-flop which requires a D flip-flop. Observe here, module T flip-flop Q clock reset are the inputs and outputs, that is terminals of the T flip-flop. Then out of this, output of the T flip-flop is Q, output Q, then input is clock and reset. Here observe that output Q is not a vector here, it is a only one single output is there for the T flip-flop. That's why only one time it is defined. Then all these keywords you are going to learn again in the later section. What is wire, etc. Wire D. So D flip-flop. Now D flip-flop is a instance now here, DFF0. So its inputs and outputs list is defined. Call the D flip-flop instance here, instantiation of that one. So Q, D, clock and reset. Then you have a NOT gate or inverter. NOT is a keyword here. N1 is the instance name. So for that one, D and Q are the inputs and output. NOT gate is a Verilog primitive that will be explained later. Just we are concentrating on what is instance and what is instantiation. So DFF0 and N1 are the instance here, and we are doing the instantiation, and we have defined what is instantiation in the previous slide. So after defining this, end the module. This is how we are going to do the instantiation. I hope you have understood the example. When you study the different type of modelings, behavioral modeling, structural modeling, data flow modeling, you are going to you can be able to write the program yourself if you know the digital design thoroughly. There is one more example which defines the illegal module nesting. Remember here, modules cannot be nested. That means within one module, another module cannot be written. All the modules are separately written. That means if you start with any module, you should end module first, then only you can define another module. Module within module is not allowed. So define the top level module called ripple carry counter. It's illegal. So this example is illegal. It is illegal to define the module T flip-flop inside this module. So observe the how it is written. So such kind of experiment you should not do. Module within module, it will be an erroneous. Module ripple carry counter, terminal is Q clock reset, output is vector 3 down to 0, Q, inputs are clock and reset. This is declaration part. Now see, Again, one more module is defined here. Module T flip-flop. This is not allowed. This is a illegal module nesting. So once if you define any module, it consists of end module, then only another module can be initiated. So the module T flip-flop is totally illegal within the module ripple carry counter. So this part, module T flip-flop up to end module, should start after the first end module if you want to execute this kind of example. So this components of simulation, we are going to discuss it in the next class. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any doubts, you can post your comments in the Google Classroom or YouTube channel. Thank you for watching the video.